Okay, so my name is William Okay. Today's video is called Uranus is a Strange Planet. Now, okay, and let's read more about Uranus and why I believe it proves what the Bible. Okay, so Uranus, the strange planet, bluish green, big, about 64 times the size of Earth. Uranus is seventh except from the Sun, and of the 9 known planets of our solar system, usual in many ways. Uranus and its moons have big problems for evolutionary theories of planet formation. It can be seen exciting testament to the Creator. At 19 times distance from the Sun to the Earth, Uranus is so far away. For 84 Earth years to orbit the Sun once, barely visible to the naked eye. Uranus wasn't discovered until 1781 by famed British astronomer a Christian noted a chartable object being the sky was studying. Much of our information about Uranus about its moons obtained for Voyager 2 spacecraft viewed by the planet of January 1986. Even before Voyager 2 scientists of the seven Uranus characteristics corresponded by genetic theories by 1948, it was known that Uranus has at least 5 moons. But their orbits have been expected with the moons have been discovered particularly to the plane of most of the planets orbit the sun. This meant either most of the moons are orbiting or Uranus, or if it's the poles of the equator, in case of or axis of itself inclined way compared to the other planets. The latter, which in this case, Uranus its equator is at 98 degrees to the elliptic. Instead of spinning like it's just spinning like a top and it orbits the sun, as other planets do. Uranus rolls along its side. Thus, for part of its orbits, the North Pole, Uranus faces the sun, while the South Pole faces the sun, doing a different portion in the orbit. Indeed, there's a disagreement as to which pole can be considered north and which one south. The situation is impossible according to evolutionary ideas with the formation of solar system, namely the planets consist of rotating nebula. Uranus cannot have been formed very naturally. What then is the evolutionist solution? Most of them believe that Uranus actually formed the correct way. Yes, according to evolution, but then was significantly knocked over during a collision with another planet. So the size of Earth, indeed, but models of that development of our system cannot produce this orientation involving a collision with another object. How is feasible with this explanation? Most for Uranus' orbit has shown no sign of a catastrophic collision. This orbit's most secure of all the planets. Only Venus, Uranus, and Neptune orbits more circular, but a collision will have a more elliptical orbit. Also, Uranus' orbit lies closely to the elliptic plane than any other planet except Earth. And a massive collision will have disturbed the planets, but it's more than this. Furthermore, the moons of Uranus pose many problems by themselves. Today, they're orbiting around the planet's equator, which obviously that they're right along the elliptic. Obviously, these moons could not have been present of the supposed Earth-sized object hit Uranus, because the moons have been scattered and disrupted were not only quite moved, still objects and are inclined 98 degrees away from its previous orbits. Therefore, reasons the evolutionists of moons have been formed after the impact, and the moons were seen to actually fragments left over the impact. However, moons have been combined with the particles in the ring on Uranus, because only about 0.01% of the mass of the planet. But there was a severe limitation about debris reduced by the collision, but the impact value enough to push Uranus perceptibly reduce more stored debris than that. Indeed, the currently fashionable of the formation of Earth's moon uses a collision of comparable into scale of the moon with 1.2% of the parent planet's mass. Finding this idea as catastrophic implies more than ambiguity among the evolutionists. Christians are mocked by evolutionists by accepting the biblical account of the global flood, which is unattempted by physical evidence. But because it was one-time catastrophe, we are told that such evidence are unrepeatable and they are therefore unscientific. Yet, however, you see that evolutionists are allowed to invoke one of the planetary catastrophes with to overcome problems within the belief system. As one of the four gas giant planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Uranus poses yet another problem for naturalism. The other three gas giants generate energy, and they generate considerably more heat and into space than they receive the sun. Uranus alone is failing to do this because how can this be? If dynastic projects formed the solar system without a creator, then this project should be very similar. In particular, Uranus and Neptune are very similar in size, as very composition, rotation rate, and location in a solar system. Wouldn't expect they would be similar characteristics as well. But Neptune radiates into space more than twice the energy it receives, while deciding whether or not Uranus radiates any excess energy at all. If all this wasn't bad enough, evolutionists received a further series of rude shocks when Voyager 2 flew by the Uranus system in 1986, taking many photographs and measurements to complete the astonishment of scientists of magnetic excess of Uranus, tilted by approximately 60 degrees of respect from the excess rotation. This is not known why, but just enough of the strength of the magnetic field was a surprise to evolutionists, though not to creationists. A creationist physicist, Dr. Russell Humphreys, using biblical assumptions, have predicted the strength of 2 years previously. Here, it's this right here. A wide angle for check of exposure of Uranus streaks have been taken, as we was shadow. It took 90 seconds to cause the streaks of background scars. The rings have compressed because of its size particles, which are very dark, and the image covers the area about 10,000 kilometers, 6,250 miles across. In order to sustain a belief in millions of years, evolutionists need to try to overcome the problem of Earth's magnetic field, like all physical systems that seem to be gradually decaying. Well, like using magnetic reversals, that's the problem. They like using that. Calculations indicate that it would not be here anymore, and the Earth more than a few thousand years old. So, they could get a dynamo model of the planetary magnetic field. So they try to field sustain itself to planet's motion, both the state of Uranus's field and its effective magnetic and rotation axis of our solar part defy predictions of this evolutionary dynamo model. Surprising too were the photographs that Voyager that took Uranus's moons. Voyager discovered more moons than previously known. There are now more known as 21. But the 5 moons that we have known already, Voyager happened very close to the smallest one of a little moon named Miranda, since it is so tiny, having of about 480 kilometers, only 14% of Earth's moon. But scientists entered to be a small boiling chunk of ice. Instead, it was proving to be the strangest object in the solar system, see Uranus below. Then we see that near Uranus, along its moons, holds that is unique problems for those who don't want to accept a creation event. In today's scientific age, what is often asked, how is this possible to be a Christian in light? Science has discovered. We have seen that the opposite is true, and they have more to learn. And when we see that indeed the heavens, along the rest of creation, do indeed declare the glory of God, which is in this verse right here, Psalm 19, verse 1. Okay. Now Morinda, which only occurred, which clear off one shook over from the scoot on her side. Morinda has some moisture in turning our system. Have it created planes out of its smooth, largely uncreated, list of bolting and grooving, forming its Twitter network, and boasting all sorts of performance-centric scenarios. No one's particularly looking anything like Morinda, says evolutionists about the problem in modeling these theories of an Uranian satellites, according for Morinda, says another. Usually, in the usual explanation that it's a Morinda was normal, explained by evolution when formed, it was then rapidly disassembled by collisions, disassembled by the mutual gravitational attraction of the other solid pieces. NASA states that by collisions or symbols were necessary. Others reject a version of a scenario of dispute of this whether this moon could we can survive one. Legend let alone 5. Also, sort of collision of such appears to be required. It is not obvious that it's a present terrain without relief up to 20 kilometers will survive catastrophic disruption and stimuli. Okay, and that's what Uranus is about, okay? Now I'll try to get simple according to the Bible. So point of evolution is a damn souls to hell. When you go to heaven, it is to believe on Lord Jesus Christ. Salvation is by faith alone, grace and goodness alone, and once you disobey is truth. Meaning you can't lose your salvation as your safest save ever. It would be easy as easy to go to just believe in Jesus Christ for salvation. And also the point of the flat earth is the damn souls to hell as well. So okay, the way to get saved is to believe. So there. So what do you think about Uranus? Well, it's just another yeah, but this is an ice giant, and we'll talk about another ice giant next video, which is here. What's about to say about Neptune, and I'll talk about that next video. Because it's gonna go right now. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.